This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrak. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, Exo Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Monday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, I am just glad to be here with all the teeth in my mouth.
That's what I said. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad you actually had emergency dental surgery this morning
not
at
surgery.
7:40 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I guess this was another basketball accident.
It was an accident. It was a pure accident. It got a little elbow in the mouth.
What were you like trying to box out in the paint or something? Is that proper terminology?
That's
there?
good stuff right there, though.
Trying to box out and you took an elbow in a scrimmage?
A little elbow in the mouth.
Let's see it. One second.
No, you can't even tell.
Is it the one that's longer now?
Probably is. Yeah, because this one's fake. This one I got knocked out.
Which one? The one on your left or
the
right?
one on my left side.
Oh, that one's a little bit longer than the one on the right.
Yeah.
Just a hair.
Not much, though.
No, it looks
I
good.
got that one knocked out when I was like 14 playing hockey.
And then how did the other? And then the other one was it a notch?
It was a nick. I mean, basically, it's like the bottom quarter.
Did you drop and hold your face and check for blood? Or?
No, I thought it was bleeding, but it didn't.
What'd
bleed.
the kids say? Based on your basketball injury history, if you've been following the
he
show,
felt bad, man. He was looking on the floor on the court for the tooth.
But you had to be participating in the drill.
Yeah, it was part of the drill. Yeah, it was no big deal. It was a pure accident. But many thanks to my dentist who said, "Hey, man, I'll get you in first thing in the morning on Monday. We'll get it taken care of." The greatest news that I got this morning was when he said, "Oh no, we can just fix that up, man."
As opposed to
no cap,
which is like a fake part that they like put in there.
And you have to get molded. And he said, "Hey," he goes, "Are you sensitive?" And I said, "Well,
would you say emotionally or physically?"
Sometimes I am.
There's different answers for each of those.
So he didn't even give me the shot, or I wouldn't have been able to talk this morning.
Well, that had to be quick because, like I said,
was quick.
That was 35 minutes in and out.
Yeah.
No laughing gas, nothing.
I
I was
was
afraid you'd come in with a numb mouth, a little bit out of it, and I'd have to run the show for an hour.
No. So big props to
yeah,
my
you
dentist.
are. Clay, I agree. You're one accident away from a helmet at practice.
Pretty much.
With a face guard.
I know, man. I'm going to keep rolling.
You'll be
now.
like, remember Calvin at OU?
Yeah.
Is he
Calvin.
still around?
Oh, yeah.
He's still around, giving out newspapers.
He's in his 50s.
Yeah. He's an iconic gentleman who rides a bike around the OU campus and sells the OU paper for a donation, but he's famous for wearing a OU football helmet.
Sometimes he wears a baseball helmet.
Baseball helmet, depending on the season, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, good stuff. So great show today. Today's show, it's all about kind of going to break down Matt's season on the Opens. He came really close mathematically. We kept saying that mathematically, and some things almost did happen, but you ended up finishing in 6th in the points in the overall and just missed because you did have a double qualifier in Jacob Prosnick.
But that double qualifier doesn't count for the overall.
Right.
So they just take the top 3. But first of all, I guess the big story would be Nick LeBrun one-trick ponies it 50 pounds, I believe, on Grand Lake.
On a topwater.
On a loon-colored whopper plopper. And this is real interesting because I know exactly what he fished because I saw him the entire tournament. I talked to him. I talked to him like 3 times on day 2. You got him? I got 1. You got him? Yeah, I got more. And then the third time I see him, I said, you got him? He goes, I got around 14. I said, dude, you're in it to win it. He said, yeah, I know.
South part of the lake?
Mid-lake. He was not fishing anything sneaky. I told that to Brock Enmeyer, my buddy who works at Shoreline Boat and RV, who actually jumped in the open and finished 60th. And I said, dude, LeBrun fished what like a lot of us fished and just did it better. Like he figured out something and then he stuck with it, which is kind of what you have to do for the open. He saw these gizzard shad that were up shallow on a tough bite. The water was still 70, and I saw them too. I went in Shangri-La and was like, oh, look at the size of those shad. There got to be fish in here. And LeBrun saw that and was like, bingo, whopper plopper time. And he threw it exclusively and beat everyone quite soundly. Yeah. Really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. I believe we've had him on the show before. He's had a great career over at FLW, now MLF. And hard to believe, if it wasn't for a subpar finish, a triple-digit finish on Pickwick in the first century. Remember, he went second first in the last 2. And didn't sniff it. But really happy to see he's one of the good guys in the sport, Nick LeBrun. We'll get him on the show here shortly.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like that the locals did well at this event?
It was very mixed. Some of them did, and some of them really struggled. It was very mixed with the locals, and there were a lot of locals in it. Obviously, you had John Pilcher, part of the Pilcher and Warren dynasty over on Grand Lake. Warren struggled. Pilcher had 14 pounds a day. John Sukup, Sukup. Wow, I'm still getting heat on that, but he finished 4th. He was leading the event after 2 days. I would consider him a local. Harvey Horn has a lot of familiarity with Grand.
Vance Montgomery.
Vance Montgomery. He was in there. Bradley Hallman was in the top 12. Toby Hartzell. The locals called him.
Okay, that's what
Toby
I thought.
Hartzell finished 18th. I was in 24th. Casey Scanlon was in 32nd. Chris Jones 33rd. Andrew Upshaw
I thought the locals
34th.
did quite well in this event.
Alan Nail 39th. Kurt Warren 42nd. Jay Brainerd 43rd. I'd even consider Carl almost a local as long as he lived in Bixby at Fred Rabanis' house while he was trying to make it. So there were a lot of locals that did well in this open. But the overall, I guess we have all of our qualifiers as I pull up the Angler of the Year standings. And boy, it got a little Western as far as the standings went. The guy I felt bad for, man, was Tommy Williams. And I talked to him at Norman, and he had said, man, he goes, if I can get through this one, and he was up in the top 3 the entire year. Never struggled. He said, if I can get through Norman, he said Smith and Grand or in my wheelhouse. And sure enough, he caught him at Smith. And then I think he caught 3 one day and 0 the second day at Grand. He actually finished 7th below me in the overall and had like a 130-point lead or 40-point lead going into it. But Masayuki Masushita and Daisuke Aoki, consistency throughout the entire year outside of one event where Daisuke started the year with like 150th. They finished 2-3, and then Jacob Porosnik averages a 29th place finish through 9 events, wins the Central Division Angler of the Year, or 3rd in the Central Division Angler of the Year title. He wins the Opens overall Angler of the Year title by 101 points, gets $10,000, makes the Elite Series and the 2022 Classic on Lake Hartwell via his win several weeks ago at Smith Lake. So I would venture to say he was by far the quote-unquote best angler in the Opens field this year, and it came to fruition.
It's a 90-point victory over second place in the overall.
1446 and 1547. That's 101.
Yeah, that's my 6s.
That's a lot.
Reverse. That's a huge.
I actually was talking to him after the first day, and he had the stats pulled up, and we were there, and I actually messed up. Mark caught a 4 1/4 pounder on a jig, right? I like to throw one jig specifically at Grand, so I stopped by Honey Creek Outdoors afterwards. They had 3 packs of them. I buy them, I put them in the truck, and then I get a flat tire on the way home. So I change the flat tire, and for some odd reason in my head, while I'm getting the stuff out of the back of my truck, which is a disaster, I said, I better put those jigs in my boat so I don't forget them in the back seat. So I put them on the back deck of the boat. I change my flat tire, and then I leave the things on the back deck of the boat, and they blow off somewhere on the highway. So I've got 1 jig going into day 2, which is what I was planning on.
What is it? LBJ? LBJ?
Yeah, it's something similar. It's the Jewel heavy cover finesse football in a 1/2 ounce. Okay. I like how it skips. I like how it feels around those docks. And I'm rummaging around, and Prozik's like, what are you looking for? I said, looking for a freaking finesse jig. He's like, I got the best one in the world. So he gives me a couple of them, and then he sits there. He pulls the points up, and he's actually doing the math. And he's like, man, if I catch like 1 or 2, he's like, I'm 100. There's no way I can. He actually looked at it. He's like, I don't think I can statistically fall out of it. And he's like, but I want to win that Angler of the Year. So he went out and did it. So
and he got 10 grand.
Yep. And then kind of a heartbreak for several guys that really fished well all year, both Sam, George, and John Garrett. George had a great day 1. He kind of I think he still made the top 10 in this deal, but he misses it in 4th. So he statistically couldn't have done it. Dice K caught him, didn't make the final day, but he finishes 4th. John Garrett finishes 5th, and then I finished 6th. And then in the Centrals, you have Huff. Dang it, this is another one of those northern names. Shuret.
Okay.
P-R-Z-E-K. I think it's Shuret. I talked to Adam Bartuzek, who was telling me how to say it because it's kind of like that Andy Herber guy, who's actually pronounced rebar.
Yeah. Okay.
Shakurat. I think that's right. Is it Shakurat? I think that's right. Anyway, he makes it. He's like, I think 21 or 22 out of Wisconsin. And then it goes down to Joseph Webster, who's a tour veteran. And then John Garrett and Joey Nania tied 1 point out. 1 point away. 1 point mark.
Wow. Yeah. And you look at those specific events where what if? Those guys probably saying what if for a long time.
It'll be interesting to see. Joey had a really nice post about how he's not saying what if, about how he believes, everything happens for a reason, and he's in the Bassmaster Classic because he won an event on Pickwick. And I saw him a lot this year. He was always in that baby blue wrap, just running. I mean, every time I see him like 3 or 4 times a tournament, just wide open running.
Yeah.
Moves around a lot. So
you're close on the name, I guess.
Yeah, Rich would know. He's a northern guy. Yeah. What are all the... You get further up north, like that's why the hockey players and the last names get harder and harder to pronounce. You ever notice that?
Yeah. Yeah. French influence.
Yeah. Is that the same...
French-Canadian.
That's the same reason why the Louisiana guys, that's French influence
Cajun.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, history lesson. Is that history? What is that?
It is kind of history. Geography and history all mixed up there.
What'd you do this past weekend?
Nothing.
You got to go watch your boy play ball, didn't you?
Yeah, but did you see the backyard when you walked into the studio?
It is pristine.
Unbelievable.
I know.
It's the best my yard's ever looked. We don't need to talk about that.
We have 100%. Weather is now no longer Jeffrey's thing. The health of his Bermuda is now number one.
Oh, and fescue.
Which one is the darker
fescue?
Green
That's
in the half circle? So why isn't it all fescue?
Well, you put fescue in areas where there's not a whole lot of sun.
Oh, so that's why it's under the tree.
Right.
Bob take care of that for you, or is that you?
No. Actually, that is my, I don't know, what would you call this? My oldest son's in-laws. What would that be to me?
Your oldest son's in-laws?
In-laws, yeah.
Wait.
Jim Parizek. Big shout out to Jim. Jim took care of me.
I feel like that's really that's your son's wife's parents.
Yeah, it's nothing to me. Although I mean, I'm not saying he's nothing. I'm saying the relationship there. There isn't a name for that relationship, is there? Or correlation?
I don't know. I've not ever been that. But
anyway, Jim Parizek Farms took care of me. Just, dude, I could not be happier.
Not the same guy who's your landscaper.
Oh, no.
And not the same guy who takes care of your lot on a regular basis.
The weed and feed. No, that's
so you literally have 3 lawn guys.
No,
and
this was guy? No. This was a one-time
deal
with Jim.
Big
shout out to.
I guess we'll just clear it off. We'll talk about everything else that's going on with all of the major tours over now. The Opens are over. We have the Toyota Championship that is going on at Pickwick coming up. Also the NPFL. I believe it's the top 25, and those guys are going to Nickajack. And then I think there's one other. Oh, the Bass Nation Championship going on next week at some river in Louisiana.
Yeah, I don't know.
I finished second and didn't make it, so you have to block that stuff out so it doesn't eat you a lot. The Washita River down there. Jared Miller, former Elite Series pro, he actually is fishing that for Colorado.
Now, if you win that, do you get an Elite Series spot?
Yes.
And
in the top 3,
right?
The back half of it is paid for. So if you pay the way that it was or has been, if you get the boat and the living the dream deal or whatever.
Yeah.
Not living the dream, that's a TBF though. Nation's best deal.
Okay.
And then the last $16,000 of your entry fee, I believe, is covered.
Okay.
So that encourages you
helps.
to make it through the year. And then there's a bunch of stuff that's going on.
Yeah. All right, this week, let me set this up, and then we're going to dive into your assessment of your season, and the floor will be yours. Tomorrow, pretty cool show. There was an event that took place, and this is kind of obscure. A gentleman by the name of Geddes Brannon, and some people might remember him.
He's been around for a long time.
From the days that he did work for BASS.
Or the days that he was Patrick Walters' team partner at South Carolina.
There you have it. But he has a very cool position now.
Man has seen a lot of thigh in his day from the back of the boat.
Jeez, man. I don't even want to think about that. Anyway, he was involved in a project that took place in correlation with, I believe it was the University of South Carolina. And we're going to have him on for a few minutes to talk about that event that kind of merged together college football fans and bass fishing. And it was a huge success, and I don't think a whole lot of people know about what went down, and I'm almost positive it was the University of South Carolina. So we'll have him on tomorrow and get his take on how that all came about and what he has going on in South Carolina. And you know what's interesting, Matt? South Carolina is kind of turning into the HQ for a lot of tackle companies.
And anglers.
A lot of fishing industry stuff taking place in the state of South Carolina.
And Geddes is on top of it. He's actually, I don't want to say it wrong, but he's big in merging the fresh and the salt. It's an interesting dynamic because you have so much money in the fishing and boating industry because you have a lot of coastline and you have a lot of freshwater fishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you look statistically at the anglers, and I think you just combine the Carolinas, right? Let's do North and South.
Yeah.
That region, I mean, you have a lot of championships right now. You have Hank Cherry, who's going to go for a three-peat this year, obviously, who's a
favorite
Carolina
too.
guy and a favorite. And the Classic is in South Carolina, and there are so many good anglers. We've done shows about this that have come out of the Carolinas, both young and old, for the past. I think it's a breeding ground for professional fishing talent. So, interested to get Geddes on.
So we'll get him on. I think his official title is CEO of the South Carolina Boating and Fishing Alliance, is what it is.
Say that again?
CEO of the South Carolina Boating and Fishing Alliance.
So did you have to send him a pre-list of questions since he's a CEO?
No.
Did you have to go through a secretary?
No.
Was he like, my Aunt Jeffries is good to hear from you?
No, he did not. Good dude. Looking forward to having him on to talk about this event that went down in South Carolina and just kind of want to hear how it developed, how it came about, and what the end result was. And then Wednesday, Bradley Hallman's going to make a return, get his take on his 2021 performance.
He almost made it.
He did.
I talked with him a little bit yesterday. He ended up finishing 9th overall in the
Centrals.
And because Porosnik double qualified. It goes down to Webster, who had 544 and he had 514. And if you remember at Smith Lake, Hallman was up there. He had like 12 something. He came in with one fish on day 2, so he only needed 31 more points to get an invite, and that would have been like 2 2-pounders or 1 4-pounder. I went and did the math.
Yeah.
So I was all jazzed up talking to him yesterday about, what do you think Toho's going to be like the first one in next year? And he's like, dude, I don't want to talk about that. He goes, you're all fired up and ready to go next year. He goes, how are you like that? He's like, I just want to not think about it for a while.
He needs some away time, huh?
Yeah, but I'm ready to go already.
All right. Well, I think the next thing coming up is going to be me and Uncle Frank versus you and Junior at Lake of the Ozarks. I got to get that date locked in. We have a place to stay, I think.
Okay. I guess there is one more major event.
What's that?
This year, which would be that Johnny's $1 Million Derby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be following that, won't you?
Heck yeah.
Do you remember the first time you heard about that Forest Wood Cup, the one that Scott Suggs won, hometown advantage?
The Millennium?
No, this was the Forest Wood Cup, $1 million. Remember, it was $1 million for a cup. I just remember.
Yeah, wasn't
thinking,
the Millennium before
cow.
that, though?
I thought that was $500,000.
That's the one that...
It wasn't $1 million.
It wasn't $1 million?
No.
The Millennium wasn't $1 million? You okay there? You all right?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I was pretty blown away when they announced that they were going to give $1 million to the winner. I was just like, whoa. Business must be good to have that kind of prize fund. So, I don't know. What year was that? You remember what year that was? In the 90s or 2000s?
I thought it was early 2000s.
The
Ranger right. M1 Millennium?
Yeah.
Who is that the one that the dude from Oklahoma won?
Yeah, Darryl Robertson. I think that one was $500,000, but he won almost $1 million.
You know how we can figure this out because MLF has all their stats updated.
I haven't looked. Did it happen yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right,
I can go down here and see if he had if unless they just left that out. Holy cow, he's fished a lot. It would have been there. He won $600,000 in the Ranger M1 Millennium in 1999. Now, unfortunately, I can't click on it and see who else did good.
Was that at Fort Gibson?
While they have it under his stats, it is. They did not deem it necessary to link it to any.
Do you remember what he won that on? Do you remember?
No, that
there was a big controversy.
I had never even been to Oklahoma yet when he won that.
Dude, there was a big controversy, a big topic of discussion because he was heavily involved with Gene LaRue, which I don't even know if Gene LaRue still exists. Once Pradco.
No, they sold, but yeah, they're still.
I think the salt crawl and all that. No. But at his post-game, let's call it press conference.
His post-derby interviews?
Yeah, he was asked what was the primary bait that he used. And he said, well, he goes, it's a Gene LaRue bait, but it's kind of like a brush hog.
Ah, was it the origin of the Who Daddy?
And it was the Who Daddy. And they were actually making those, hand-making those by taking a ring tube and then cutting it and then melting it together with the back of a brush hog. They weren't even making it yet. It was like a prototype, and they didn't have enough of them, so they had to hand make those things. So it was like a Who brush hog.
So do you think that's one of the reasons why the Who Daddy became one of the, I mean, along with a bacon rind and a brush hog and a Who Daddy, those were kind of the three predominant creature baits that were out early on. And Darryl Robertson had a big portion of bringing the Who Daddy to light.
Yeah, and that thing was on fire. There's always been, and we can go year by year, way back. There's always been a bait that is new, that has come on the scene, that has kind of taken things by storm. And I was actually in a conversation while you were gone last week, and I don't remember who it was. I think it was Steve Wunderlich, the bowler. Mm-hmm. We were talking about, do you remember? And I don't even know if they're still around. Madman Lures?
Yeah, I read a big article
Is
about
that still around?
Madman Mooneyham and selling it and stuff. Actually, I believe Yum has the same craw now that Madman used to have. It was like a realistic craw that you'd have to put a 6/0 EWG Gamakatsu in, and you'd stuff a rattle up in it, and then your hookup ratio was like 20%.
Dude, that thing was on fire when it came out.
That was a huge deal.
No longer to be found. Gone.
Yeah, I still have a pack of them.
Do you really?
Yep. I think that was a Illinois bait, maybe, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I know Jeff Crete was heavily into the whole Madman thing.
I read an article about like what happened to him.
Huh. Might want to check that out. That would be a cool where are they now?
Yeah. Do you know the one that was big for a year that just comes to my mind, and it was caught on some fish down in Texas and stuff, but never really took off, was the Lateral Perch?
I have no idea.
Remember, people fished it like a jig.
Okay.
But it looked like a bluegill.
No, I don't remember that one.
Power tackle?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember the power?
No.
It looked like this.
Let's see. No,
I think
don't
that there was a TTBC or a PAA event on Tawakoni, if I remember correct, during a bluegill spawn.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Keith Combs. It was one of those guys and they were catching them on the Lateral Perch, and then guys were flipping it into hydrilla at Rayburn and Toledo Bend and stuff like a jig, and it was like the next big thing. And then it just went away. See, it was like the top of the body was hard, see? And then the hook went in and it had like a brush guard just like a jig.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the deal, supposedly like the deal, like jigs were obsolete after the Lateral Perch.
Wow. No, I don't remember that. All right, let's do this,
see?
man. One more thing.
Rich Lingren remembers it.
Yeah.
He said, I hated him. Yep, PAA Keith Combs did win the PAA on Tawakoni with. That's good.
Yeah. Let's do this. We're going to take a break, but first, and then we'll come back and Matt will dive into his season. Did you happen to catch 60 Minutes last night? Yeah, I know I'm
under kind of 60, so unless it's a football game, I don't have CBS on.
If you did not watch 60 Minutes last night...
Wait, you're talking about 60 Minutes and your lawn. You realize what is going on here, Mark. Like, I'm serious.
I'm old.
This is the most stereotypical...
No, but listen.
You're not even 60 yet.
Listen, it was really, really interesting because they did a special on the Colorado River and the effect that it's having on Lake Mead and all the lakes that are in the Colorado River chain.
So it's like...
What's that?
That's a 60 Minutes.
Oh,
Do the intro like...
Yeah, it is.
These 17 million people rely on this one stream of water to support the multi-billion-dollar industry.
It was fascinating. Fascinating. That's a good clock there. Yeah, that's good sound effects.
Global warming and a change in atmospheric pressure. How long will Las Vegas exist?
Yeah.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
Listen.
Also, is your Metamucil causing constipation?
Dude, you are being disrespectful to the elderly people out there that watch 60 Minutes.
Continue.
Anyway, it is a really, really good piece on the issues that are definitely going to affect many of the bodies of water that are in the Colorado River chain over time. Dude, they're talking about turning the faucet off and saying, California, you're done taking our water. Arizona, you're done taking the water. Done. And then some dude from Utah comes up with an idea that they want to build a $3 billion pipeline that takes the water from, Lake Powell, right, and sends it to this town in Utah, of which is supposed to be the most, expanding town in America right now in population. And it really dives into the details of the present and the future situation when it comes to the West Coast fisheries and the lakes that are affected by the drought and by the amount of water that's flowing through the Colorado River, the amount of not a whole lot of water in the Colorado River. It's not an old person show. If you care about the West and care about those bodies of water, you need to watch this, and I'm sure it's out on 60 Minutes website. It was really, really eye-opening. I had no idea what was taking place out there. So it had a little, fishing twist to it.
Lightning Muskie says Rojas used the warmouth, which was similar to one on Toledo Bend. It was similar, but I believe Rojas's bait was more closely related to the Bastrix bait fry.
Yeah.
Which was a very seldom used, real good sight fishing bait. Obviously not around anymore. Bastrix has actually just came back, kind of reinvented. I don't know if they sold or whatnot, but the bait fry.
I can't believe you're ragging on me for watching 60 Minutes.
And to close it out, Reader's Digest, now available in large print.
No, I'm not going down that path. I haven't looked at one of those since I was asked to look at one of those when I was in like the 6th grade or something. No Reader's Digest. Does that even exist?
It has to, yeah.
I don't know about that. All right. We're coming back with Matt. Give us his take on
I have a bunch of stats. I finally fished enough tournaments. I've done all these stats on everyone else.
Analytics over here.
I got the analytics on.
Nice. All right. We're coming back. Everybody stay tuned here on a Monday.
FS puts the full range of Lowrance fish finding tools at your fingertips. Find fish with active imaging 3-in-1 with Fish Reveal. Target fish with active target live sonar and watch fish react to your lure as it happens. Built-in C-Map Contour Plus charts make it easy to find key fishing areas. But best-in-class charts and powerful sonar is only the beginning. It's easy to build your fully networked FS system. From sonar and waypoint sharing to controlling the Ghost trolling motor and power poles. Lowrance Elite FS. Targeting fish just got easier.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
So, you're looking to buy fishing electronics, huh? Are you also looking for true experts to help guide you through it? Well, at the Bass Tank, you've come to the right place. We are live forward-facing sonar pioneers with thousands of hours spent learning through winning trophies, cashing checks, and just having fun. Whatever brand you need, we have it. We offer free shipping, and we have 2 financing options available. Our experts are here to help you. Call us today or visit thebasstank.com.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
Everybody loves to chase bass on the water. But is your most valuable asset protected when it's not on the water? Empire Covers can preserve your bass boat against even the harshest conditions. When the storm is coming, that bass boat needs to be protected. Check out EmpireCovers.com for all your cover needs. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution when it comes to protecting that asset. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution in easy protection for your truck, for your boat, for your car, anything that needs to be protected from the elements. BTL listeners can receive free shipping plus an extra 15% off their entire order on EmpireCovers.com. Just use the promo code BTL at checkout. Empire Covers. Protect what you love.
I've made my living on the water for over 20 years.
For 14 years.
For over 23 years.
I've worn a bunch of different clothing brands over the years.
Some companies big.
And some companies small.
All of them said they were making clothing for us.
But none of them knew us.
None of them were us. Except for one.
Except for one.
Except one.
AFCO.
AFCO.
AFCO. AFCO.
Fishing isn't part of us. It is us.
Everyone, Brandon Palnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, X-Zone Lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone Lures tied on? And I'm like, Let me show you why.
The bite.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's pretty big. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I think you get the point.
There's one.
You know what works. Now you need a bunch of them so you don't run out on your next fishing trip. The Big Bite Pro Packs feature 25 baits per pack at a price far below that of having to buy 5 packs of regular baits. Now the Pro Pack has a big brother, the Mega Pack. The Mega Pack features 100 of your favorite baits.
With these, one bag is usually plenty to get through the day. It helps me stay organized, helps me save money, helps me catch more fish.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
All right, we are back. Kicking off the week on a Monday with Matt in studio.
You about to announce that you're now wearing New Balances?
With the Velcro straps.
Hold on, let me unstrap my shoes and kick my feet up on the ottoman. 60 minutes is about to be on.
No, man, that's wrong, dude. I'm not that old. Jeez. Just bagging on the elderly this morning. Man, the next thing you're going to say is, when's the last time you got the discount at IHOP?
You do qualify for that, though.
I think so. I've never taken advantage of that.
Except I was going to go with Cracker Barrel.
I've been there in a while.
Or Old Country Buffet.
No, I don't do that, dude. Not there yet. Age is just a number.
Do you do the crossword puzzle? Serious question. You're not a crossword puzzle guy?
No, never have. Not even on airplanes.
I've never understood people who do crossword puzzles because to me all it is frustrating.
It keeps your mind sharp, dude. It does.
It just angers me.
Why? Because you don't know what four
like
cross
that
is?
Sudoku and the crossword puzzle, it just gets me irritated.
Yeah.
You can't, so I'm not a big.
All right, man. So it is that time. I know a lot of people want to hear your assessment on your near miss on making the Elite Series. But, man, a great year from an experience standpoint, a great year to really kind of step up where when you tried this before, the improvement was vast. You just came up a little bit short.
Yeah, so I fished all 9 of them this year. Obviously, as you know, a bunch of people followed it all the way through, which was crazy and cool. I mentioned in my Instagram post, dude, I read all those comments. That means a lot to me that people, because it doesn't really have any impact on anyone's life, whether some dude in New York catches a fish or not, but it's cool to see all the following. And I've kind of had a lot of time to break it down and digest it. And I don't know what is going on.
You all right there, man?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a raspy voice there. But I think if you're going to do this and you're going to commit so much time and energy and money to it, you have to take kind of an analytical approach and see, if you think you approach it correctly, if you didn't approach it correct. Like, you have to have a game plan going into it, not just, let's go in and see how it goes. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Would you also be shocked at how many guys that you've talked to over the years don't have a game plan?
If they made it?
Yeah, like, don't you talk to a lot of guys that are on tour, that aren't on tour, that are just like, just take it one at a time and see how it goes and blah, blah, blah. You got guys who I don't look at the points. Guys who win Angler of the Year, like Brandon. Remember, Brandon was like, I had no idea where I was when he won Angler of the Year, which I still don't believe, but...
Yeah.
But especially in the Opens, if you're trying to make this a career, as part of your career, I think you have to approach it with a game plan. Otherwise, I think you just end up all over the board. Because it's all about consistency, right? You can't go for it in some and not go for it in others. And I think you have to be consistent and hope that it pays off in the long run. That way you always have a game plan. You kind of know where you are. You know what adjustments you need to make. So my game plan going into the year, and you can go back and watch it, was I looked at the past couple years and I thought if I caught 12 pounds a day, throughout the entire season, looking at the schedule, which had some slugfests and had some low weight ones. Harris Chain, Douglas, Pickwick, James River, Oneida, St. Lawrence River, Lake Norman, Lewis Smith, and Grand Lake. I thought if I could catch 12 pounds a day,
okay,
that I would
make it.
Be right there to make the Elite Series at the end.
All right. So
and the key
what
was,
did you do?
Well, the key was also, this was the other key, do not leave any fish on the table. So if you fish all 9 events and fish 2 days per event, that's 18 days on the water. That's a possible 90 bass.
Okay.
So here's what I ended up doing. Over the course of all 9, and I took all of my averages, I caught 84 out of a possible 90 bass that were on the table in the 18 days that I fished. I caught 1 on day 2 at Smith Lake, and I only had 3 on day 2 at Oneida. Other than that, I came to the scales with a 5 bass limit every other single day competition, leaving only 6 bass on the table. So that's a 93% of the bass that I could have brought into the scales I brought in over all 9 of the opens. My average tournament weight was 23 pounds, 7 ounces per tournament, which roughly averages out to 11 pounds, 12 ounces a day.
Did you happen to look at the last guy that made it, what his average was?
I haven't gotten far. I just know that Dice K's average 5th place finish was 42nd place. In the
but you don't know what his weight was.
Yeah, I haven't gotten down to that. It'll be a little skewed because he won one and drilled them in a couple events. He had a couple good tournaments, but I averaged 11 pounds 12 ounces a day, so a hair under 12 pounds. I was about 4 ounces short of my goal for the entire year. Which, if I catch those 6, that brings it up to 12 pounds. But I averaged, it was roughly a 2 pound, 7 ounce fish. Every bass that I brought to the scales averaged out 2 pounds, 7 ounces. Now, I had an 8 pound day and a 10 pound day in Florida, but I also had a 21 pound day and a 20 pound day in the St. Lawrence. So it all averaged out in the wash to a 2.5 pounder. So every fish, I basically had a limit because I had 84 out of 90, 93% of the possible fish, a limit of 2.5 pounders every single day of the opens for all 9 opens.
Okay.
And going in, I kind of thought that might get the job done. I went back and averaged it out, and I averaged a 52nd place finish in each of the events. Now, they only pay the top 40. But on average, the lowest number, I think there was 180 some in one of the events, and there was 224 another, but all 9 opens averaged out to 209 anglers per open, and I averaged a 52nd place finish, which means on average I finished in the top 25% of the field in every single one of the 9 opens.
Okay.
Like I said, I still thought that would put me, right there, but it ended up taking a 42nd place average finish. So I was 52nd, so 10 places, which if you look at 10 places is less than a pound in every single event. So if I had a pound in every single event, I'm right there.
Okay.
Because that's what Daisuke did, and he finished in 3rd.
Okay.
And he's on the Elite Series. So then I went back and I looked at big bass. I only had 2 bass over 5, and I'm going to get to why I think this is accurate and some of the things that I might have to do to change to increase this. So I only had 2 bass over 5 pounds the entire year. And I never lost a bass over 5 pounds either. And both of those were on the St. Lawrence River. I had a 6.6 and a 5.9. One on day 1, one on day 2. So, I guess they count. They're small.
So smallmouth. So what was your largest largemouth?
I had a 4 pounder on day 1 of Pickwick in Bay Springs. So this is where I really kind of got into a breakdown because we had some really dynamic fisheries. Pickwick, you could fish for multiple species. Oneida, you could fish for multiple species. There's some multi-species, some Norman, Smith, a lot of largemouth spots, largemouth, smallmouth spots, the whole thing. So throughout the year, out of my 84 bass that I caught 41 largemouth, 25 spotted bass, and 18 smallmouth.
Okay.
So in the entire season, less than half of the fish that I weighed in were largemouth. 25 spotted bass and 18 smallmouth. So I obviously like the subspecies more than the largemouth.
But that's what you're really good at, though.
Yeah. So of those 84, what percent do you think I caught on a spinning rod? Through 84? The entire season. We're talking Harris Chain, Douglas, Pickwick, James River, Oneida, St. Lawrence, Lake Norman, Lewis Smith, and Grand Lake.
Yeah, I don't know what the percentage is. I'll say 50 out of the 64.
81% of my bass were caught on a spinning rod that I weighed in.
Okay.
68 out of my 84 were caught on a spinning rod.
Okay. That's not shocking. Because you threw it a lot.
Yeah, that really surprised me that it was that high as the year went on.
But that's what
God, this is another spinning rod tournament.
Once again, how many times have you said on the show, I'm going to fish what I'm good at?
Right.
And that's what you're good at.
So then I broke it down, and this might be off a bait or two, but I kind of made notes on it. So I had 4 fish on, this is throughout the year, 4 fish on a topwater, 1 fish on a chatterbait, 2 on a jig, 3 on a tail spinner, 1 on a glide bait, 3 on a Texas rig, 1 on a trick stick, which is a Cinco style bait. That was in Florida. 5 on a jerk bait, then 12 on a Ned rig, 34 on a drop shot, 13 on a wacky rig, and 5 on just like a one-off random bait.
Okay.
So obviously my 3 biggest, 80%, was 12 on a Ned, 34 on a drop shot, and 13 on a wacky rig. And these are ones that actually came to the scales.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Obviously, a lot of your success was because of the use of a spinning rod and reel.
Yes.
When you go back and you analyze the numbers, the analytics, do you feel like that you used it too much and that number of where you finished could actually improved if you would have changed up your pattern or went with, patterns that were based upon the bait cast rod and reel? And here, I'll give you an example. And it was, I don't think, you didn't get a check at Pickwick, did you? Or did you?
No, I missed it by 6 ounces.
All right, you were close. But
Block that dude.
Do what?
Block that dude. Block that dude.
What? What's going on? I wasn't looking.
I was just posting the same thing over and over.
Oh, this dude here?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Let me find it here. And hopefully I'll remember.
Just block him completely.
Okay.
He gone?
Yeah, if he comes back, I'll do that. All right, let me get back to my thought process. My question to you is, when you analyze your season and you do have that data, and obviously using a spinning rod and reel 80% of the time.
Yep.
Let's go back to Pickwick. You decided that, I'm not strong at ledge fishing. I'm not comfortable doing that. I didn't really find anything. You know what? I'm going to go do something that I am good at, that I do feel comfortable with. Do you think that you would make that decision over again, or do you think that it was the conservative way to at least get good points when you were struggling to find really what was going to be the way to win the thing?
So here's the 6 one way, half dozen the other. There were times when I had a solid limit, but I was able to upgrade 6 ounces that gave me 10 more points. Looking at how it went now, knowing you need a 42nd place average, and I had a 52nd place, maybe adding a little bit more risk to the equation, but the reward is picking up a bait caster with a bigger bait, targeting a different caliber fish instead of making small culls. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to cull through 5 fish to cull up 6 ounces, I'm going to cull through 2 fish to cull up 2 pounds. That would have, in hindsight, been a smarter call than to nickel and dime my way up. Now, that kept me in it, but there were times when I nickel and dimed the entire way instead of trying to chunk my way up. Now, if I pick up that and I do make a pound call instead of a 2 ounce call, now there's the 10 points or the 20 points.
Right.
So I'm gaining 20 or 30 points at the risk of losing 5 to 10 points. So if you look at it statistically like that, if I'm like, hey, if I do this 3 times and I'm going to know that if it doesn't work 3 times, I'll lose a total of 30 points. But if it works 1 time, I'll gain 30 points. And if it works 2 times, I'll gain 60 or 70 points. Then once you've secured a non-tank, once you know you're getting points and you're in a good shape, you got to figure out how to catch a bigger caliber fish, which a lot of times is to put down the spinning rod. And instead of trying to catch a 210 when you've got a 2.8 in there, you go try to catch a 310.
So do you think that you fished too conservative
At
this
times
year?
throughout this year, I absolutely fished way too conservatively. And I know the spinning rod stats are skewed because of Oneida and the St. Lawrence River, right? But I could have done more power fishing at Smith, at Norman, at Grand, at the James River was a finesse deal. I did the right thing there. At Pickwick, at Douglas, and at Harris. There were all opportunities to catch a bigger fish using bait casting equipment, but increasing my risk to not catch one.
So is that something that you're going to work on during the off season?
That's 100% something I'm going to work on during the off season. Is establishing a points pattern quicker. Instead of spending my whole practice trying to figure out how to reach that 12-pound mark, I need to figure that out in a day or two, right? If I practice for 3.5, 4 days. Instead of spending 4 days of figuring out how to catch 12, I have to spend a day or two figuring out how to catch 12 based on the schedule, the weight that and then I have to have a day or two where I'm trying to figure out, once I've reached that comfort level and zone and know I have the points, what is something that I have confidence in doing that I feel like could really chunk my weight up a pound and a half, 2 pounds, even though it might be a little riskier. And I didn't do that. I never went and looked for big bites this year.
I know. Let me ask you this. So throughout this season, and even during the smallmouth events, do you think, or how would you describe the difficulty of leaving 2 and 3 pounders to go find a 5 or 6 pounder?
It's really hard. It's really hard for
That's
me
the
to
point
do
I
that.
wanted to make.
I can't do what Hallman does mentally. I can't do it. Where you just are like, I'm targeting the biggest caliber of fish that I find, and there's a 50% chance it won't work out.
Okay.
So like at the James River, it was right, but I spent a lot of time dialing in how to catch 11 to 14 pounds.
You did a really good job at it.
Yeah, instead of catching bigger. At Oneida, or at the at Lake Norman, like I was like, I need to find 50 spots that I can catch 2-pounders instead of, hey, I'm catching a lot of these 14 and 14.5 inch fish. Like, I know that's not going to win it for me, even though I think I was 10th after day 1. What's a better way to catch these 3-pounders?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you haven't done it, you kind of don't know what to do in the tournament. So looking back on it, that was my biggest takeaway, was I need to spend more time trying to gain confidence in something that I can do for a couple hours each day to give me the opportunity to jump way up.
Well, didn't you do that at this last event, though?
100% I did that at Grand. But that being said, I also had a fail-proof backup plan to go catch 14 inchers. And I did it. I caught a good one on day 1, and it worked, but it didn't work on day 2. But that was a good finish. I mean, that was a 20. I mean, I did it. That was a 24th place finish.
Yeah, but the plan that you put together was, hey, I'm going to go out. I'm going to secure my 10, 11,
But if you
12
look at
pounds,
the ones that I did really well in, so I cashed a check in 3 out of the last 4, right? What is the one common denominator in all those that I did not have in any of the other ones? St. Lawrence River, I had a 6.6.
Yeah.
Lake Norman, I had a 3.10 spot. And on Grand Lake, I had a 4.25 pound largemouth. Like 3 of my bigger fish, like 3 of my 3 biggest fish in the entire year all came in. Guess what? I finished 28th, 21st, and 24th. Look at the power of a big fish. If I had a 4-pounder at Douglas, I'm in the 30s. If I had a 4-pounder at Pickwick, I'm in the 30s. If I had another 4-pounder at James, I'm in the 20s. If I had you see what I'm saying?
So
it's one kicker fish.
Did all 3 of those fish come on a spinning rod reel?
No, Grand Lake came on 20-pound string and a jig.
Okay. And that was due to the plan that you put together of, look, I'm going to go get my 10,
St.
12.
Lawrence doesn't count but I was power fishing. I mean, St. Lawrence, I stuck with my game plan. St. Lawrence is an outlier. But Lake Norman did come finesse fishing.
Okay. All right.
So,
hey, man, the numbers don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were on the cusp of making it, doing it with a spinning rod and reel 80% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is we've talked about that. I did the math too. We had this discussion way before you even left, is can an individual qualify for the Elite Series without ever getting a check?
And technically,
they would have came close.
No. Daisuke Aoki averaged a 42nd place finish.
I know.
So, yes, you could technically make the Elite Series this year without cashing a check.
That's the points that you would have if you finished 45th in every single event. 1395. You'd be close. You wouldn't be there because it took 14.
If you finish what?
45th in every single tournament.
If you finish 42nd in every single tournament, you make it, and that's still not a check. Daisuke averaged a 40. It was like 41.77 place.
Hang on, let me see what that is. So 40. What is that? 158.
Listen. Daisuke had
158.
1,433 points. 1,433 divided by 9.
Hang on. 1422. You would have missed by 2 points.
No, what is 1433?
You can't do average.
Why can't you do average?
Well, if you average 42nd in every single event, that's 1,422 points. You missed by 2.
How did he get 1433 then?
Well, because you go up
what's
and down.
1433 divided by 9?
1433?
Yeah.
But he got a check, though.
It doesn't matter. He could have finished that.
Yeah, it's 159.2, round up 160.
So 40th.
40th. And that's a check.
So right at 40th.
Yeah. I mean, if you would have went out...
No, it's 41st, because what is it? 159 point what?
0.82. So you round up. 160.
So yeah, you cannot make it without cashing at least one check.
You could come close.
But
Very
this year
close.
you couldn't.
This year, the way the numbers worked out.
He finished 153rd in the first one, too. And then went 1st, 6th, 59th, 30th, 43rd, 27th, 20th, 37th. Yeah. So I looked at the stats. And the other thing that I realized was there are some tournaments throughout the year where you have to go for it. You cannot play it safe in every single one of these opens. Because I played it safe. I mitigated my risk, what I felt was my risk in every single event.
So you felt you fished very conservative in every event.
Yeah, my first decision that I made was the worst decision of the year, which was run to Lake George instead of Apopka in Florida. Apopka felt risky to me. Lake George felt like the safe bet. I could get a lot of bites. I thought I could catch 10 or 11 pounds. It was the safe bet, and that was the one, and I didn't even realize it at the time.
Yeah.
But the first event, the first decision that I made to play it safe, that was an event that I should not have played it safe in, and I finished 111th.
Okay.
Hackney, Prosnick. There were 6 or 7 guys in the top 20, and there were only 6 or 7 guys that went down there.
Yeah.
And I practiced it, and that was my game plan going in, and it wasn't. But listen, you play it safe, and this is the finishes you average with. 64th, 48th, 43rd, 65th, 28th, 21st, 68th, 24th. That's what happens. You have to decide, and I've realized this breaking it down. You have to decide, when am I going to go for it? When do I have a 65th place finish wrapped up, and instead of trying to finish 43rd, I jump up and try to finish 8th, right?
Yeah.
There's a time for that. It's like a football game, because I tried to keep score during this whole thing. And when I was supposed to be running a hurry up offense, I was still trying to chunk out first downs.
Okay.
So, yeah, I kept the score close and stuff, but, man, there's a point in the game where you got to start taking some shots at the end zone.
Okay. That's interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does.
So I cashed 3 out of 9 checks just based on entry fees. It was a $16,200 on entry fees just based on earnings, and I'm not talking about anything on the side. I'm just talking basic guts. $16,200 in entry fees. I won $9,455, so I'm negative $6,745 strictly on entry fees.
How much do you think expenses?
It was
kind of varies
between $37,000 and $40,000 to fish the whole thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, we had this discussion before you left that it's not about the money, it's about the points. Because it was all about qualifying for the Elite Series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the financial commitment that is necessary to be able to do this at the next level, you have to expect that if you break even, that's a heck of a year.
Yeah. So
if you come close to breaking even, it's still a good
what
year.
What Pete said, and this is interesting, I've had this talk with Brad a lot. He said, Andy Morgan says 12 pounds a day will get you wherever you want to go. Okay, it will. So, like, if that's an Elite Series deal and you take the percentage of the field, like if that's any other major circuit, regardless of entry fee, I cash a check in every single event this year and qualify for the championship. And then, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Top 10 angler of the year, the whole 9 yards. But with where we are in the sport, with the split, with the anglers that are doing it, with the 3 divisions, with the amount of interest and the smaller fields, what you have is a real severe bottleneck that has not been that narrow in years past where, guys have turned it down or not and double qualified and they've tried to fill the field and they've gone down 8, 10, 12 spots, brought guys over from other tours. I just happen to get in at the 2 toughest years that you have, where you have a bunch of these guys who, quite frankly, shouldn't be fishing all 9 of the Opens. The Greg Hackneys, the Jason Christies, the Jacob Perosniks.
Yeah.
Those guys. And the bottleneck is tiny. So now 12 pounds doesn't get it done. Finishing in the top 25% of the field doesn't. That's a good way to have a career, to make championships, to put yourself in position to make money and have sponsors once you're at one of the top levels. But when you have to finish in the top 15%, finish in the top 25% doesn't get the job done.
Yeah. That's
what I realized. I thought the consistency would get the job done, and it puts you in the position. This is a synopsis of everything I just said. Consistency puts you in a position, but you got to have the guts and the understanding of when to go for it. And that kind of goes on whether you're trying to win your club championship, whether you're trying to qualify for a BFL regional, whether you're trying to make the Elite Series.
Yeah. Now, think about those guys that qualified, and I'll ask you the position that you would have been in. Here it is, October. We're almost to Halloween. Companies have their budgets pretty much done. Yeah, I'm sure there's some companies out there that have set aside part of their marketing budget to give to potential Elite Series guys, depending on what the situation is. But how difficult would it have been, and how difficult do you think it is for a lot of these guys, including yourself, to be able to come up with the money necessary to fish the Elite Series when you don't really know until the middle of October?
I was always kind of playing catch up, so I never really had those conversations. So hopefully I'll, in July or June of next year, be like, hey, it's looking a lot better right now. Maybe we should explore that more.
But still, that is kind of a touchy subject.
It can't be easy. I mean, there can't be companies.
Right?
Yeah. Because you don't want to come across as, well, I'm just going to go out there and qualify for the Elite Series. You better set aside $20,000 for me, bud.
Yeah.
But you also want to make sure you're smart about it.
It's a tough decision. And hence, I didn't take any flack, but I really believe for people like yourself that this is what you want to do in life. This is your ambition. This is what direction you want your career path to take. From a fishing standpoint, it would be much, much more makes sense for you to be able to have that opportunity to position the success that you've had on the qualifying, to be able to have that 6 months to
you're talking about the wraparound season,
to financially prepare to where you don't have that massive financial burden over your head while you're trying to fish. You tell me, Matt. I mean, even in the Opens, you tell me, how much did the financial pressure of, I really need to get a check this week, I really need to finish in the top 40, did that come into play, or was that not even a factor whatsoever?
Pickwick, the James River, and Oneida, I did not have fun.
Why is that?
100% financially.
Okay.
I was 6 ounces at Pickwick, which ticked me off. I was 5 ounces at the James River, and it cost me about $1,000 more than I thought it would because we had to stay in a hotel for several nights, and we had the gas crisis where you had to put premium and was paying like $4.50 a gallon, and I was running 120 miles a day and had to buy a bunch of baits that I wasn't expecting to buy. And then I go to Oneida, which was up in New York, which was an extra couple $100 in tolls. Everything was more expensive up there. I was right on the cusp on day 1, and then that's when I had my breakdown on day 2 when I came in late and would have missed a check by an ounce. And remember, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. As far as that, and I made some moves, and I completely changed my outlook. In the last 3, I go 28th, 21st, 68th, because it didn't catch them on day 2 at Smith. That's it. I mean, I had a limit. I was in the top 25 after day 1 and 24th on Grand. So my 3 best tournaments, 28th, 21st, 24th, all came in the last 3. And after Smith, I was bummed out. I knew it cost me a legitimate shot at the Elite Series because I was only like 36 points out after day 1.
Yeah.
But man, I was worried about the points and how I can stay up there, not, my God, can I cash a $3,000 check?
Yeah.
So that was a big learning experience, too, not to get in a bind like that to where you are chasing it.
All right. Give me your thoughts on this, Matt. And since you've been there, that's why I'm asking you. I believe there's 3 things that need to happen to make the Opens better.
Okay.
All right. Item number 1, it definitely needs to be a wraparound to where it concludes prior to ICAST. In other words, going into ICAST, everybody knows who's going to be in the Elite Series the following year.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Second thing, there needs to be a change in the off limits for the Opens. In other words, for people to be able, depending on what their situation is, to be able to camp out for a month, that is not conducive to the people that, I mean, you said it earlier, this is a financial commitment that you got to take care of business at home before you hit the water most of the time. But there are people out there that can go out and camp out for a month and really get dialed in. You know, I think that needs to go away. I think there needs to be a very defined, shorter off-limits period.
Okay, I agree with you, but not for the same reasons.
Okay.
I agree with you because you're trying to make a tournament circuit where you get 2.5 days of practice. So in order to prepare you, I think you want the guys that can succeed under that format.
Okay.
That's
kind of the same thing. I mean, it is.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with like, hey, I've got the money to stay there for a week and a half.
But people do, though.
Yo, no, 100%. But there's also a bunch of people who do that who suck.
I did not say that, folks. Matthew said that.
I'm just saying, typically, there's not a bunch of guys that only do well because they practice for a week and a half.
I get it.
Those same guys that stay a week and a half and catch them will also catch them if they have 3 days of practice.
No, I get it.
Like, you can't, it's not all of a sudden a week and a half and you're a Jacob Prosnick level angler. No, you're still going to suck. You might just not suck as bad.
I get it. All right. I will put an asterisk by that one to say that it needs to be conducive and there needs to be a correlation there with what you're going to see if you do qualify for the Elite Series. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I would like it to just be a week or 2 weeks off limits because it is the Opens. The guide should be able to fish it. I don't want them to say, hey, I am going to lose $5,000 to $10,000 in income because I can't guide on Pickwick Lake for 8 days at $500 a day, and then I'm going to enter this tournament where if I finish 40th, I get $3,000. Like, I like the guy. I like all that locals and all that stuff in there. Just make it a week or 2 just to where it's not. And plus, it adds stress on the guys who have the potential to go practice, but then they don't, and then you feel bad that you're not there.
All right. Third thing, number 3, and this might be a little complicated for you to comprehend, but I think you will once I finish hopefully explaining this. I think the people that are fishing all 9 open events, we're going to keep it at 9. Obviously, there's 9 next year. I think those point finishes should be in correlation with those people that are fishing all 9. In other words, there is a separate point standings for the people that have made the financial commitment to fish all 9 with the objective to qualify for the Elite Series. That point standings for those people to qualify for that Elite Series needs to be a separate point standings.
And I disagree with that.
Why is that?
Because it would be really, really, really hard to track down the leaders in the second half of the year because you had a lot of guys who dropped. You had a lot of guys who did what Hallman did, which made no financial sense or anything. He could stay home at his family. He's 100th in the points in 2 of the divisions. Like, what's he going to gain? They don't fit his strong suits. He didn't think he could win on smallmouth at Thousand Islands. He could stay home. He could get ready for Smith and Grand. So he was in all 9 of them. So he's gaining points for all of them. And then you had a lot of guys who dropped out midway through and just ate their deposits and saved the money and saved the travel and didn't do it. So if you started out with 50 guys, I think by the time you get to the second half of the year and you have a tournament knocked out in each division, you're going to have 20 of them that are going to drop. Because there's also a lot of guys that are fishing all of them that like that $800 deposit, they have no problem eating that. Because they can fish all 9 of them anyway and they're spending 40. So now if you're doing it on a point system and you do it on 30 guys, 50 guys fishing it, now there's volatility in those 50. It's not like the Elite Series where you're going to have all 50. Now they can only drop 25 points in the last 2 events because there's only 25 of these guys fishing it. That's what made this year so interesting. There were 200 all the way through the field.
I get that, but you're still going to have your individual open qualifications, be it the Central,
I'm talking about the
Southern.
overall.
I know. Why would you want to have to worry about where you're going to finish if you're competing against people that do not have the objective of finishing in the top 3 in all 9? That's my question, is why would you even consider competing against people that are not doing the same objective that you're trying to accomplish? Because you're not. Because think about what the influence was on all the locals that fished at Grand Lake. In theory, they actually took points away from the guys that were trying to make the Elite Series based upon where the locals finished. If you had a separate point standings for those that were truly trying to qualify for the Elite Series that participated in all 9, that factor would go away. Because now you know you don't have to worry.
Harder to make up
no, it's not.
Points and easier to maintain your lead.
It is not.
Well, we'll look at this then. We'll look at this. So.
See, because you take away
all right, so the top
factor.
guy who is fishing also, Massa and Sam George finished 6th and 7th, right? Then the next closest guy who's fishing all of them was John Garrett. He finished 15th. Then the next closest guy fishing all of them was me, and I finished 24th.
That would have helped you out.
Then the next closest was Jacob Porosnik, and he finished 25th.
See, so points are being taken away from you,
but no,
because you're not competing against them for what you're trying to accomplish.
But then you take a guy like Tommy Williams, who would have been, he is way to the good. He finished 178th. So it cost him 150 points.
Yeah.
160 points. So I'd have gotten the 4th highest points out of all the guys. And then Sam George, Massa would have gained 2 points on me.
Because
3 points on me. Sam George would have gained 2 points on me. And John Garrett would have gained 1 point on me, as opposed to 8 points.
Because don't you, two questions real quick. Don't you think that the vast majority of guys that are only fishing one division of the Opens, yeah,
I agree. I think we could, okay, if we really want to get into this, and like I said, I'm going to do a YouTube video. I still have to do day 2 of Norman Smith and Grand Lake, but I'm going to do a year-end video that kind of breaks all this down just for the stat nerds who maybe want to fish the Opens, talking about like strategy and things like that. And I'll go through and I'll do it with this point system to see if it would make a difference if you just weeded out the guys who fish the overall, because there is no list of, hey, these are the anglers fishing the overall. It just kind of separates itself.
Well, there is, because it's on the point standings.
Yeah, but there are guys who only fish 6 that are higher than guys who fished all 9.
But that's part of my premise.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to go through, weed out all the guys who fished all 9.
Because the locals hurt you in points.
Or they help me. I mean, think about how much they helped me at Norman with a 21st place finish. I gained a ton of points on guys who finished 60 or 70th because I had a ton of I finished ahead of the locals, so then there were a ton of locals below me and other guys who were fishing all nine. So it helps and hurts. It's the same. That doesn't bother me.
Because here's the deal, Matt. You are not competing against the people that are trying to accomplish what you're trying to achieve in a true competition against those specific people that are fishing all nine. And it's not complicated. They do it for the point standing. It is not a complicated process. But what I'm saying is that all the time, money, and effort that those people are putting in.
I agree.
You should compete against each other.
All I'm saying is, in that system, and I've been in it through the Bass Nation in Oklahoma, where guys who don't have a shot don't fish the last one or don't fish the last two. And you start out with 70 boats, and by the time you get down, you're at 40 boats. Well, guess what? A top 5 finish against 70 boats is almost twice as valuable as a top 5 finish against 30 boats. So as you have guys drop because of how much money it costs and they're out of it and they don't have a chance in the overall, your points no longer have equal value like it does in a tournament series where the boat field stays the same. That was one of the issues that they had with the Northern Opens before, was guys couldn't make a move because you got 70 points in the last event no matter what because you only had 130 boats. Now, with the way it is, they average throughout the year 209 boats in all 9 tournaments. So the points remain consistently equal because your field size remains the same. If you had a commitment where you had to pay all your entry fees and it was like an Elite Series deal where all 50 guys who signed up were guaranteed that they were going to fish all 9, yeah. But if you start with 50 and you end with 25, your points in the first tournament are worth twice as much as your points at the end of the year, which makes it harder for you to catch up to the leaders because they cannot possibly fall as much. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Math doesn't lie. Math is the truth, and the numbers don't lie. But, dude, if I was ponying up 35, 40 grand, I would want to be able to have a point structure where I'm competing against the other people that are ponying up $40,000 and not let outside influence affect. Because here's the bottom line. Do you agree or disagree with this? If you catch them and you get the points, you're going to make it for the most part.
Yeah, unless it's just something insane where guys are unconscious, which we had in a couple of divisions.
So you're still rewarding performance.
Yeah, I got no problem with the points. I have no problem fishing against guys. I got no problem with the lack of no information rule. I have no problem with the lack of practice rule. I've said this before, I'll say it again. It is the Bassmaster Opens. It is the Wild West of tournament fishing. Up until that Monday of practice, pretty much anything goes. And if the information mattered so much, if the practice mattered so much, if the point separation mattered so much, then tell me why the 6 or 7 guys that we deemed the cream of the crop, the top of the bass fishing, the Hackneys, the Jason Christies, the Mike Iconellis, the Jacob Porosniks, come in this Wild West and frickin' dominate it and make the Elite Series. They're here 1 or 2 years and they're gone. It's because the guys who catch fish, regardless of the circumstances. Right. So it's not a little tweak here or tweak there to make it more fair. Those guys are better than everyone else, and they just proved it.
You catch them, you make it.
Yes.
Bottom line. All right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. What else?
I don't know. I never planned anything past that.
Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited. Like I said, I checked in 3 out of 4 at the end. I executed the game plan that I wanted to execute, and I'm ready to go next year.
All right, so what's the plan for the future?
I've got to make some calls and solidify some stuff, but right now, right off the hopper, the plan is to fish all 9 again. I don't think you can be that all in for 1 year, get that close, see that much success, and then just be like, I tried it, I'm done. Like, as long as it's still burning inside of me, it is feasible, and I'm not ruining my future by trying to qualify. I've told you this off air, and I'll say it. I'm looking at this as an investment in myself, not me chasing a dream.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to fish all 9 again.
So what is your motivation to do it again in 2022? What is your motivation to try and make the Elite Series? And the reason I ask that is because some people are motivated by money. Some people don't need money.
Yes.
Some people just kind of want to roll and just kind of hang out. I mean, what is your motivation to make the Elite Series?
There's 2 parts to this. So the first one is respect from fellow anglers. Like, that's like, there's guys who walk in and you're just like, that guy catches them. Like, I want to be one of those guys. Like, that's an earned respect, right? And that means a lot to me.
I get it.
The second is financial stability in a really tough industry to be financially stable in, and I'm taking a really tough route. But one of the things that I've learned from you throughout this is multiple revenue streams. The more you can offer, the more content you can deliver, the more avenues you're relevant in, the better off you'll be.
Yeah.
And I've done the analyst, the announcer, that thing. I've got this podcast thing. I've been a beat writer, a reporter. I've written for magazines and newsletters. I've repped companies. I've been a photographer. I've edited. I've done a lot in the industry at different levels, and I see value in each of those. But I also see a value in being able to reach the top level of fishing and then combining that with the skill set that you've helped develop in me over the past 15 years here to where it's something that burns inside of me that I want to do, which is fish at the highest level I possibly can.
I get it.
And combine that with the podcasting at the Bass Talk Live, I think that is the route for financial stability.
Yeah.
Now, is it the easiest? Absolutely not. But dude, at some point you have to take into account personal happiness, fulfillment, and achievement without risking other people's livelihoods or your own future. But at some point, like, how do you put a value on that? Like, if there's something in you that you have to chase that and do it, like, and you have that opportunity. I mean, dude, with like Bass Cat and Rick Pearson, the ability to use the boat that sponsors the show and stuff. I mean, like, that's an opportunity that doesn't exist for hardly anybody, for nobody. And have you be like, yeah, take it off, go chase the opens. And to have sponsors like Best on Tour and Big Bite and AFCO and Spro, Gamakatsu, Denali, all those, like, that doesn't exist. So when I have it, even though if it might not be like the smoothest or the smartest, or it might cost me, or I might lose some in the end, man, I've got it all right there in front of me, and I got to chase it as long as that's available and try to continue to do things to make those opportunities available year after year.
Would you call your position a unique situation?
Yeah, I would. And I mean, dude, like, a big part of why I was able to get through the middle part of that season was the clothing sales. Like the people who supported BTL and bought hats and long sleeve shirts and stuff awesome, like that. Man. Like, I mean, that was.
Yeah. You all right?
Yeah, I'm just reading the articles.
Oh.
And like I said, yeah, I'm not like a kid. Like, I'm mid-30s.
Yeah, but you kind of are, because you don't have the
right. But that's a choice that
typical responsibilities.
That is a choice that I have made. That I will have this conversation till I'm 6 feet under. That's a choice that I have made that comes with give and takes. The family, the kids, the 401ks, the healthcare, the benefits, the job security, the bonuses, the healthcare, like all that. Like, I understand, like, I've given that up for the other side of it, which is, hey, I can go fish 9 opens and I can come in and do the podcast and I can do all that. Like, I understand, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a burning desire at this point to have like 7 kids and a mortgage. I don't know. That might be coming in the future, but like, I'm the one who set up my life. It's the give and take, right?
So 7 is a lot, man.
I'm sacrificing stuff to be able to do other stuff. And like, nothing is wrong. Like, I know I'm missing out on certain aspects of my life by doing that.
Yeah, but it's your choice though.
Like where you were at my age is like drastically different than where I am right now.
Yeah, I was knee deep in the corporate world. I mean, knee deep.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's like a give and take. But I also have grown up and only been around guys who have made that decision and taken that risk. Think about that. So I slid lumber at Menards in the off season when I played junior hockey and went home for 3 months out of the year, right?
Yeah.
I had my own woodworking business when I was in high school. And other than that, I've covered professional bass fishing.
Yeah, dude, I get it. And I think...
And that got real. I hope I didn't like overshare.
No. Listen, man, the cool thing about your brand, and that seems to be a catchy term these days, is everybody has to develop your brand. Well, I'm going to put it in a different perspective by saying that the uniqueness of what you have to offer, not just from a personal career standpoint when it comes to fishing, but also on the business side of this industry, is a monumental accomplishment that very, very few people in this industry have. So what have I always told you? And I tell this to my kids all the time.
Get
in
your
class.
crap together?
No.
Oh.
It's have a plan,
Yeah.
and have a good understanding of what you want to accomplish, then go execute that, no matter what it is. I don't care if you want to be a firefighter, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a professional angler. It doesn't matter if you do everything possible to achieve your goals. The problem with kids today and people today is they think about it, but they never do anything to make it happen.
And I'm not going to lie, I thought about it for like 5 years too long.
Really?
Yeah, I was comfortable. I was like, man, I'm in an industry that I love. I'm doing this. I'm making a living, doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I think I got a little complacent for a couple. Would you not agree? There was a couple year period where I just kind of floated around and did my thing.
Yeah, but you were happy. You were content. You were very satisfied.
Right. But then there's point where you're like, okay, you've got to look into the future here.
Yeah.
And you have to. I never expect it to be easy. I mean, obviously, I want to make it on the first year. I believe I can make it and do it. But like, dude, we just had Josh Douglas on. He's 10 years trying for it.
Yeah.
Daryl Gleason, I talked to him, years trying for it. Carl, years trying for it. From a different country.
Yeah.
There's very few guys who just roll in and do it and make it. And like, I think they would all agree that, when the time is right, the time is right.
Yeah. I think I think the opportunities that are ahead of you, come on, let's not sugarcoat it. I'm not doing this forever. All right. And when you take over the reins of everything that we've worked on the past years, because that will happen eventually, that I think it will be left in good hands, and you see what you have to do to have that combination of balance from a business perspective and balance and what you need to do to be successful on the water.
I'll say this. I wasn't going to say it. So we were at the Hall of Fame dinner. I told you this story. Was it at the hotel bar?
With KVD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at the Hall of Fame banquet, and I had to do this thing, and I was waiting for dinner the night before the Hall of Fame banquet. We had like a meeting and stuff like that with just the board members. So I wasn't staying at that hotel. I was driving home. It was only like an hour. So I'm sitting in there, and I get myself a Blue Moon. And
orange?
I'm not
with an orange?
With the orange slice.
Okay. All right.
And KVD walks up and orders a beer next to me. Doesn't see me or anything. I say, "What's up, Kevin?" Blah blah blah. So anyway, we start talking. He's like, "Well, you're fishing a lot and all that stuff."
Yeah.
Anyway, the Volges, and I just ask him, I'm like, "If you were in my position, what would you do, Kevin?" Because he's like, he actually basically said, "What the hell are you doing fishing? You know this is a stupid way to try to make a living." Is basically what he said, like in a KVD type way, like, "What the hell?
Yeah.
Why are you fishing so much?"
Yeah.
And I just said, "If you were in my position, what would you do?" And he's like, focus on BTL and continue to chase your dream. He's like, but understand that there's a lot of value in Bass Talk Live, and the work that that Mark has put in and allowed you to be a part of is basically what he said. to understand that value and how important that is in being able to survive.
Yeah. He's right. And that's from one of the greatest of all times, if not the greatest. And the balance that will take to be able to reach and earn your goals from a fishing standpoint is going to be the balance that takes place combined with off the water and on the water. Bottom line, because it is so difficult. And there's not a guy out there who's had success that will tell you anything different. It is so hard to earn a decent living in this game. It really is. And you hear me talk about the 10%ers, and I mean, that's kind of different because there is, I truly believe, 10% of the people in this industry that make at least a six-figure income with earnings and endorsements and their side gigs and everything else that they have going on. There are other people in this industry who have dove into the pool that have busted their tails in something totally removed from fishing, but they have the resources available to be able to do what they want to do now.
But you're doing the exact same thing that I'm doing on the fishing, except you're doing it. You've done it 3 times.
What's that?
You dove into the bass fishing industry head first just because it was a passion of something that you didn't have to do that. You could have stayed at UPS and been comfy and living on a freaking golf course now, right? You dove into that because it was a passion. It was something that provided an extra revenue stream eventually, but also it was challenging. You enjoyed it, and it was what you wanted to be a part of.
Yeah.
Then you talked about coaching all the time. Yeah, you'd coach a little league every now and then or something like that.
Yeah,
but then you dove into it head first with the high school stuff. That's always been a dream, always something. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Then you dove into the bowling.
For a second time.
Yeah, for the second time. But I'm just saying, like, you're doing the same thing I'm doing.
Dude, and there are many people that have helped me get into the position, both financially and emotionally, to be able to do what I do today. And most importantly, I had a plan. Even though the plan did not consist of what I really wanted to do, but I did have a plan. And I was very fortunate to be able to get in this industry. It really, the turning stone of when technology was changing, and it was changing the way that the media aspect was working in this game. We've had, and let's be honest here, Matt, we've had numerous yelling, screaming arguments about, the importance of the future and money and, dream smashing and everything else that's associated with it. But over time, dude, the position and the opportunity that you have to be able to do what you want to do, it's there. And I think
it won't be there forever.
I think you kind of solidified that this year. Now, are there things that you have to take both on and off the water that you learned from this experience in 2021? Absolutely. The important step now is making the changes and adapting to where failure occurred to where failure doesn't happen again. Does that make sense? In other words, I always say that just because you did not accomplish something, that the next time that you try that doesn't mean that you can't accomplish your goal, because you are going to learn from the mistakes that were made. All right? And that's going to create a better situation when you try to attack whatever the goal is that you're continuing trying to achieve. Dude, you learned a lot of stuff on the water this year. You learned a ton of stuff off the water this year. What matters is the dedication, the will, the plan, and the execution. If you can do all that, you're going to have a serious shot to make it and be successful both on the water and off the water. All right? You proved me wrong, because there were so many years that I thought, hey, you made the statement one time when we were in one of our heated conversations, you're way too conservative. You only think about money. You're way too conservative. You want to take the conservative route. All right? That route has got me where I am today. But it doesn't mean that it's the right route for everybody. And I learned that this year because I had a emotional interest in what you were doing on the water. and what you were trying to accomplish. And it's one of those things where you're close, dude. You really are. You're close. But the drive, the desire, the effort that is put into place is what's necessary, that no matter what you choose in life, that's what you got to do to get to the point that you want to get at. You have happened to choose the life of wanting to excel and make it to the Elite Series. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you do what's necessary and what you continue to learn from an experience standpoint to help you get to that spot. Make sense?
Absolutely.
All right.
Well said.
So
Very
it is
well
what it
said.
is. And you know what, man? I mean, we're going to continue. You know, I see stuff out on the message board and stuff. I mean, look, I'm going to be 59 next month. I've done this for a long time. There are opportunities that await for me of things that, I want to accomplish. But I still want to make sure that this business that I've worked very hard to maintain for realistically well over 26, 27 years, that it's left in good hands. And when that happens, and I will let everybody know when I'm ready to step away.
It's not like imminent.
No. I'm just telling everybody. I mean, here you see me checking out, watching 60 Minutes and reading Reader's Digest. I mean, come on, Matthew. The fact of the matter is this.
You're also rolling 5 shows a week with Frank and Ken and everything while I'm gone.
You know, it is what it is. But this show, when I decide that it's time to walk away, will be left in great hands. And the dude has been with me for, over half the time that this whole gig has been going on.
My entire adult life, either fortunately or unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're going to continue coming at you. You know, we're working on some stuff for 2022 right now that hopefully will come to fruition. But listen, I see kids every single day in my class, and I give them one speech, Matt, the very first day of class, because most of the time I have all new students that have never, they know I coach and they've been to basketball games and stuff like that. But I give them try to give them a motivational speech that tells them, hey man, no matter what you want to do, I don't care if you want to be a freaking welder. It doesn't matter. Put in the time, effort, and dedication to be the best doggone welder that you want to be. Because the rewards will come because of the sweat equity that you put into it. And my man, you are putting in the sweat equity, and now, you got to step up a little bit. You got to learn from your experience. You got to learn from the experience not only on the water, but you got to learn from some of the tasks at hand that are going to be required to take this to the next level when it comes to the business side too. Agreed?
Yep.
And that's it, man. And if your expertise and your comfort zone is with a spinning rod and reel, dude, you just almost proved that you can qualify for the Elite Series using a spinning rod and reel for 80% of the time. That's pretty badass.
81.
So I hope people really, really appreciate this show today, and I hope people appreciate what Matt's trying to do. And, finally, I hope people appreciate what we're trying to do.
I don't think we've ever actually gotten into that personal side of it.
No, I mean, most of the time we're at. Now, this doesn't mean that we're going to agree all the time.
Pretty sure we just had a conversation that we would have had off air.
Yeah. And it wasn't the gas that I got at the dentist office this morning or anything like that. I had no gas, no shots, no nothing.
Kind of sucks that the year's over. I'm ready to go fit. I'm ready for the next one.
I'm
ready for the next one.
Listen, I know it's on me because of basketball season, but we really need to get this thing set up for Lake of the Ozarks. Today, tomorrow, I'm going to make a valiant effort to try and get a date of which I can get to you and Junior and Frank and see if that works out for your schedule.
I'll be down at Toho for about 3 months.
What?
That's where the first open is next year.
You're not. Jeez. Is that where Charlie Hartley's place is, down by Toho?
He's all over the place. So get this. So I weigh in it on day 2 at Grand.
Yeah.
And Charlie's over there, no joke, waxing his boat after the tournament. And I said, Charlie, and I wanted to stay and get my check. I said, you want to go eat? And he's like, whatever. So I went and ate Mexican with Charlie Hartley the day after, or right after the tournament. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess what he caught his big fish on last week?
You tell me.
Carolina rig.
Do what?
Carolina rig at Grand.
Really?
Yep. So he chucked it out over a brush pile. He said the sucker just kept going.
Yeah.
He said, this one's for you, Mark.
Yeah. Great stuff there. All right, man. So tomorrow, great show. Kind of a different show. We'll get Geddes on and see what this special event was that he had in correlation with, I believe it was the University of South Carolina. I could be wrong, but we'll find out tomorrow. And then is Brad going to be in studio or is he going to be at his house?
He'll be in studio.
He's coming in.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have Bradley Hallman in studio, kind of get his take on his season and what his future plans are. Dude. And then on Thursday, Frank, show number 41 for day 4 with Frank. I want to ask you this. Are you willing to do our heads-up match next year on Lake X?
Me and you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
thought about this.
I get 1 day on it, though.
You can have 1 day.
Okay.
And I know it's a little bit of a drive. But
I don't know. I'm just saying. I go through the spinning rod stuff, and I know that Lake X is a power. I think I think you forget that in 2020, 80% of the fish came on a BFE.
Yeah.
Think about that.
You'll have fun with the BFE at Lake X.
Okay. I'm wherever you want it.
I'm 1-8, right?
1-9. But wherever you want to have our match. I just
thought it'd be different.
Whenever you want to have it, I'm game, as long as you don't mind showing it on the video.
No, that's fine. We'll work it out, obviously, based upon your schedule. But just kind of in summary, your plan is, hey, you're gearing up. You're going to do the same thing next year, right?
That's the plan as
of right now.
Yes.
All right. Anything else, man? What'd you think of the Chicken Hawks and the Sooners? Did you watch any of that?
I unfortunately did.
Oh, my gosh, man. That was a debacle. I seriously think that because OU's defense is so bad that Texas
Tech... We need
Tech
to just save this for Hallman when he's in studio.
I'm sure he's livid. It's probably the worst 8-0 team in the history of college football.
You say that. We're probably going to win the national championship.
I seriously doubt that. We
Watch.
may have to put.
We will, because we've always been like, oh, we're good. Now we're going to be like the first team that boos a national champion.
No, we may have to put Chick-fil-A on that. I don't think it's going to happen. Dude, they got a tough schedule. They got Iowa State, Baylor, and OSU. 2 out of the 3 on the road.
It's kind of like Lake Norman, Smith, and Grant.
Kind of tough. Anyway, we will
listen. Then the week or 2 after that, we're doing a Young Gun show. We're doing guys who are under 25 who are now either on the pro circuit or the Elite Series for their first year.
All right, good stuff. Coming up. All right, Matt, he's the booker now since he's back. He's going to be booking the shows. The West Coast Czar has requested an appearance. We need to get him on too.
Yeah, 100%.
Talk about some of the stuff going on the west side. And don't forget, man, check out that 60 Minutes deal on the Colorado River.
Will do.
It's not an old person stuff, dude.
I will. No, it's very
really very interesting info on that. Anyway, great stuff.
Save these stats. I usually rip my papers up, but I have to save these for the YouTube video.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for all the comments and the feedback, and we will.
Texas beats OU in the Big 12 championship. Is there any way Texas can even get there?
No, that's not going to happen. I would say either OSU or Iowa State, one of those two. All right, we'll see. More to talk about it. We'll talk about it with Bradley Hallman on Wednesday. We're back tomorrow, same time. We're out of here.